Well, good. We're hopeful things will continue moving in that direction.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
Walking there.
Can you hear me pretty good, Brian?
Yeah, I can hear you.
King of Santa.
Good, buddy. I ain't sit down yet, so I actually was running a little bit late getting to the table, so. How you doing today?
Very answered the phone to me.
All right.
What David Freeman called you, did you go to see if Paradise Valley was a county?
So did you get to go to Publix the other day, sir?
Yeah, I did.
Thing I glanced at.
Looks like you had a pretty good meal while you was out.
I didn't look at the list, Roger gave me
Yeah, I
the list
did.
today. He did call today.
As long as I get around, I just gotta be here, and I have to go to lab every other day.
May have got the call on it.
It's all this medicine together, biggest thing is this anti-rejection medicine, I have to take the rest of my life. They have to get all that exactly where it needs to be, so it don't cause you
I understand. Well, won't be long, maybe you'll get back here and get back at it, but, you missed a good wrestling tournament the other day, so. Bryce done well.
Yeah, good. I saw, it looked like it was good for all the boys there that.
Yeah, they came on it,
And also,
right
I told Brian, he told me he said he, won 2 and lost 2, and I said, well, that's always right. You just gotta get better, buddy. God don't win everything. You always learn how to get better. You learn something every time.
I agree. It was, and I won't make excuses for any of them, but, the way it was structured, the 2 that he did lose, he was outweighed by about 20-something pounds in that deal.
Yeah, well, that's okay. If you don't give somebody, like that, you learn how to deal with something like that.
I didn't mean to put him off, but you know.
I think he understands some of that stuff.
He just.
That's good.
Yeah, he didn't get upset at all, my friend.
You signed up for the class in Friday. I told Rhonda why they were letting me do them at home.
I'll get my paperwork straightened out here. As soon as I get ink in and Brian, we're gonna start.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm gonna do, these 2. I think I got them. Sure, that's right here.
This right here, that's I believe this chair is.
No, it's got a lock on it somewhere,
I thought it did the other day, but I didn't see one.
Well, if anybody's gonna be a target here, Todd, I'd just send it to you.
It's gonna be me.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Madison County Board of Commissioners regular business meeting for February 22nd, 2021 at 6 p.m. If you don't mind, please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. For the record, Brian Kirk is online with us. Got him on speakerphone up here. I would encourage any of y'all that hasn't reached out to Brian yet, please do. You'll be able to hear through his voice tonight how good he is doing. We are very thankful for the bounce back that he's done in a miraculous amount of time. Brian, would you say about 10 days, bud?
Yeah, 14.
14 days?
Yeah, 14 days, and I feel better even with a giant incision than I did with a bad liver with this new one. So I thank all
tell you, we're very thankful for you, Brian, and very pleased that everything is turning around for the best. But anyway, I'll start. Business involving guest groups or multiple visitors. I think,
The minutes.
oh, yeah. Never mind, let me just go back to the beginning. You have before you a copy of the minutes from January 14th public hearing, a copy of the minutes from January 25th, 2021 regular business meeting, and the minutes from February 1st agenda setting meeting. If you need time to look over those, feel free. If you've already looked over them, then I would ask for a motion to adopt tonight's agenda and minutes, please.
Mr. Chairman,
I
I'll
was
move the
absent
minutes.
at the,
I'm sorry.
I was absent at one of the meetings, so should we do them? It's up to you.
That's right. You can actually vote on minutes even though you weren't there,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
But you can.
As long as they look
Okay.
in order to you.
Yeah.
Sure, yep, they look fine, just wanna.
All right.
I move the minutes be approved as presented. And you will do the agendas with the same motion.
Same motion, brother.
And move that we approve the agenda as presented as well.
I have a motion by Terry Chairman to approve tonight's minutes and agenda. Does he have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Derek Doster. All in favor?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you, Brian.
Yes.
Do I have a motion by you to adopt tonight's minutes and agenda, sir? Thank you. I think there's about a 40-second delay from live, maybe 30-second delay. All right, so business involving guest groups or multiple visitors. Mr. Drago is here to talk. Are you here to talk tonight about the committee?
I thought I would talk at the
March?
public comment period, but
I mean, you can do it now if you'd like, or you can wait. It's totally up to you.
all right, I'll just go ahead and say what I was going to say at the public comment period. Is that what you were saying?
Well, I mean, it's business involving guests, so you're a guest and you have business, so we'll.
Okay, well, the one thing I was going to talk to the board about, and I think you all received the booklet that I said about creating a citizens advisory board. I mailed everybody a copy, and my feeling as a group, FCCPC, we all feel that creating.
Let me spin it around for you, bud. The mask might be distorting it for you, but go ahead, sir.
Well, we all feel that it might help the county to create such a board, and a board like that would assess anything coming to the county, whether it's business, subdivision, and just look into what the impact it might be on the county. So I'm encouraging the board to proceed with creating that board. And what I would suggest to the board is to form a committee to do the research on creating the board, get together with Mike, and just set it up exactly the way it would best operate for our county. And I'd like the board to move on that quickly because I'll use GRP as an example because it's an issue that I'm here often on. You know, by assessing something before it comes here, we could avoid some of the problems that have been created by this current business and business in the future. So I'd love the board to move forward on that. And I'd like to, again, suggest that a committee be formed, use that book that I sent you all, and go through and actually form what would eventually be the Madison County Citizens Advisory Board, and then vote on it to make it an official board and proceed from there. And then that board could provide this board, zoning board, the Industrial Development Authority with information they could use when they're making decisions on different projects coming before the board. So.
And you agree, you think it'd be best if we done it by commissioner? In other words, they could appoint somebody to be on the board from every angle of the county.
And I
So
do.
you're talking about 5 people.
I do think 5 people. There might be a couple other people on the board
Sure.
at large. And that's what I'm talking about. First of all, establishing maybe a committee to study the booklet that I sent to all of you and actually make a proposal of what that board would look like as far as Madison County is concerned. And I'd be happy to be on that board and meet with individual board members or other people on the committee, you know, and just decide questions like each board member appointing somebody, a couple at large, so we have some people that are not neutral, but at least not representing any one district to voice their opinion too. I just see if there's a lot of little things that would have to be worked out, and starting out with a committee to do it and present that to the board, let's say at next month's business meeting, not the meeting Monday.
Yeah.
You know, and just so the board has a real good idea of what I see Citizens Advisory Board would look like.
All right.
Any questions for the board right now?
I've read it, 84 pages.
Okay, yeah,
But it's good information, it really is. And I think it would serve the county well in all aspects, pros and cons. So, I don't necessarily want to use GRP, but like you said, subdivisions, the impact of that we may not take into consideration, or maybe planning and zoning didn't catch in consideration. I think it's a good idea. But, on Monday, on the March 1st, is that correct? March 1st?
why did I come to that March 1st meeting?
That's the one you really want to describe.
Right, and
The
it's
step
more
by step
open
of
and-
it.
Okay, my other comments were more like citizens' comments at the end of the meeting.
That'll be fine.
Not agenda items.
That's fine. You can come back up and just.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the board's interest in creating a board too. I think it'll be an advantage to Madison County.
Good.
Drago, I didn't, Drago, Mr. Sonovich, I did not get the book, but I have a,
He has a different email. That's
yeah,
why.
I don't use the county email. I probably should, but I don't.
Okay.
His is a Windstream, man.
Right, yeah.
All right, I'll get your email, make sure you get a copy.
Yeah, run ahead. Just a couple, in your thought process on this, one question I don't know that I listed as a concern, but say if this becomes part of the decision-making of the planning and zoning, needs to be thought out where that comes into the process. In other words, I don't think we want to create something that makes something a 6-month additional drag.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I would say a citizens advisory board is not a decision, they don't set policy.
Right.
When a topic would come up of business, they would just do the research and stuff and try to present the information they found to a board. I don't see it extending. It may extend it a little bit, but what they would do is then provide facts that each board, other board could make their decisions on and set policy. But they're not a policy setting
yeah.
board at all.
I understand that, but in providing the input, and let's say again from a zoning perspective, need to think out where you're going to get the invitation to provide information, and where in the process that's going to happen. Because obviously, with planning and zoning, Linda gets applications at the business meeting. The planning and zoning members go over it, and then 2 weeks later, they take action on it. So where in that process would that occur? So anyway, it's just the part of the thought process to consider.
It's a good thought, because, right, coordinating it between, I think once the board's created, all the other boards would know that board is available to do the research.
Yeah.
So when the zoning board gets a request, with that time, research they may or may not do on their own, they could just say, would you look into this for us, and by our session where we're going to vote on it, present that. So.
And that would become a component of their decision making. It just needs to be done in such a way that it doesn't lengthen the process.
Right. And
So
that's what
you
I hope.
technically would have that same 2 weeks they do. Once it's proposed, and then while they're doing their 2 weeks, you have your 2 weeks. And then the night that they make their vote is where you bring your fact finding.
That the facts
to
to
them.
them are individually contact people with what we're finding out. And again, it's not a board that maybe has an opinion one way or another. It's just presenting facts of what the impact on the county might be.
Right.
And I think a lot of times people on boards don't have the time to do that themselves. So the advisory board more or less can do some of the research that they might not have the time to do.
Good. All right, we'll talk more about it
Okay.
Monday,
I'll be there.
March 1st.
Thanks.
Any more business involving guests? All right, chairman's report. So the 5-acre parcel that was deeded to the county from DOT is officially cleared. If y'all just are able to ride down to 72 at the intersection there of 98, you will notice that all the grading took place. There is no more burning. The stumps has been removed. The lot, the actual road department side of the lot is already being utilized. There's several dump truck loads of gravel already on site. dozer on site, a motor grader on site, inside the fenced-in lot. And for the EMS Station 4 sets, right now you're at bare dirt. So I just got a copy of the plans this week from Bobby Smith, the EMS director, and me and Alan has looked over them, but we want to physically go see the building instead of looking at them, because this particular building sits in Hartwell right now, and we have a cost for that building based on what Hartwell spent. I know things has changed, but normally on a building that size, or any size right now, red iron's probably 6 to 8 to 12 weeks out if we ordered it tomorrow. But I just wanted everybody to know, if you ride by and you wonder why it's cleared off, that is where EMS Station 4 is going to sit, and we'll move forward once we go look at the building and adjust our sizes to fit. Again, this building was utilized through Splosh. I think it was allocated in the 2020 Splosh. So there's that project. Renovation has begun at the funeral home. All the carpet has been removed. We have found some issues under the carpet that we will address and take care of. We utilized, and I think I may have said this in the last, no, that was a department head meeting. Michael and some of his guys, Mr. Hanley, brought over some inmates, about 12, and they knocked out the removal of the carpet and everything over there in one day. Pretty proud of that. Now we just got to get the glue off the floor and do some leveling on the building. But once we get that part done, then we're going to start looking at adjusting the offices and doing some painting. Painting is actually the next step. Well, I'm sorry, glue removal is the next step, and then the painting, and then the trim, and then the sectioning off of the rooms, and then we'll start down with floor covering. I will keep y'all posted at each turn of events, just so you know where we stand. At this point, I don't see any reason that we will not have that building available for the elections office come midsummer.
Had a phone conversation today with the county member who was a member of the church that occupied it there for a while. And he said there was an issue with water running under the building. And I just want to make sure that you're aware of that.
Oh, yeah, we found it. When we pulled the carpet up, we found it. It was, believe it or not, there's some grading issues around the bottom. It almost ended up being built in a hole. They built up the shoulders for the landscaping, and you'll notice while we put up all the bushes, and what bushes is still there, it's probably still got to go, and it's because of the fact the building is lower than the ground around it. And by the bushes covering it, I don't think they could ever see where the leak was coming in. And a lot of it is up on the upper side. Not a real big deal. We're going to come in and put a French drain in there. It should take care of that part. This end of the building, that building's been added onto several times. There's some wood floor systems in it. There's some concrete floor systems in it. We'll fix it.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
can you tell me what is the budget for this, and where that is coming from?
Okay, so we allocated, I think we allocated $50,000 for a building. I did not specify which building, but there's also a small grant that was received by the elections office, totaling about $15,000. Most of the work will be done in-house as far as dollar figures go, so we can save money. Like I was talking about the French drain and stuff like that, all the re-leveling of everything will be done in-house. A lot of inmate labor is going to be used to paint it, so it's more or less just going to be used on supplies. And at this point, I think we're going to be somewhere around $30,000–$40,000 by my calculations in it. Now, that's not going extravagant, don't get me wrong. This is just basically a place that they can occupy quickly, but we want it done right the first time. But I'm not saying that we can't go back over years and some of the other rooms change out flooring as money comes available, and maybe change out lighting as money comes available. But right now, we're just trying to find them a home before the next election process takes place.
Okay, so it does come from that building budget. So we're using that money, and, so then, if there's other buildings, that would have to, that whatever the difference is just will be the amount left.
That's correct. We do have more money set aside for different areas and different buildings. The way we broke out the budget this year was, Brian, for like this building here, there was X amount of dollars put in it for certain offices to get new floors that had carpet in them that's 20 years old. That money will be untouched.
I got you. Yeah, I understand that. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, thank you for the question. Sale of equipment and purchase of new tractors. All right, so I showed showed Derek and Denny a minute ago. I thought Alan might come in tonight, but he's had a rough day today. I haven't even seen him all day, so I know it's been tough. The guys have been really, really busy. You'll see some stuff that's hit Facebook lately. I think Denny, Mr. Adams saw it. People had some problems with some ditches they ran out within 24 hours and had all those ditches cleared out with that new grade all. And it went right back to Facebook replying, how it is when people post something. People's like, well, I'm glad to see the county come out and fixed it, and it was fixed within 24 hours, and luckily the person that posted it posted the reply back and showed how it was fixed, and everybody was, yay, pro, good job, road department. I was very proud of it. But anyway, so the sale of equipment, purchase of new tractors. So the county has had extra pieces of equipment for a while, and all this, and the only reason I'm telling you all this is because my buying power goes above it, but I still like to keep you informed. So we pulled 2 old pieces of equipment that we had behind the road department, an old 615 pan and a 140G motor grader. Both of them was in the early to mid 80s pieces of equipment. And I called for prices on both these equipments, and I had a couple people come out and give them to me. And we needed a rubber tire loader for our second lot at Comer, where we store our gravel right now. That will be a cutoff point, so we don't have to truck gravel from Carlton to Danielsville and turn around and truck it back to Carlton when we need be. We'll utilize this lot. But I needed a way to load it. So I was looking for a rubber tire loader. I contacted Evans Equipment Sales in Covington. He came out and put a price tag on our 2 pieces of equipment, what he would give us for them, versus his rubber tire loader. And we're going to be $6,000 in a 2001 Caterpillar 938G. So we utilized getting rid of 2 pieces of equipment that we did not use or need for a piece of equipment we do need for $6,000. And if you don't know what a 938G, it's big. But it's what we needed. The one that y'all purchased in, I think, 19 was a 918. So it's like just a little bit bigger, but not much. But that $6,000 again will come out of the 2014 Splash, but that covers one more mark. Now, the other items here.
I'm sorry, Todd.
No, go ahead.
Question, or less clarification. On the trade, since that's part of a purchase deal, do we need any action by us for disposition of county property? Like, I'm just curious.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. You know how sometimes if we get rid of stuff, we have to do it.
That's right, yeah. I don't think it has to be a, sealed bid or auction. It's personal property, not real property, so I don't think any board action is
If I
required
just
for
sold them outright, it would have had to be.
Yeah.
But because we're trading them in on a designated piece of equipment, we would not have to. That's my knowledge of it, but yeah, thank you. No, you're right, 100%.
I didn't think about what you said a minute ago about it.
Yeah. So the other couple pieces of equipment, one we budgeted for was a rec department tractor. Mr. Chandler went out and took an overview of the piece of equipment they wanted to replace and deemed that yes, it did need to be replaced. In the meantime, we designated in the budget, well, let me take that back. In the 2014 Splash, money was allocated for equipment for the road department. Monday or Tuesday last week, prior to last week, I don't even know what day it was now. 2 weeks ago, let's put it that way, 2 weeks ago. Myself, Terry Chandler, Alan, Lazimski and Derek Horn and, Sean, can't remember Sean's last name off the top of my head. But anyway, hauls from the road department. We go out to Deutsch Tractors and we look at 285 horsepower cab tractors. These are for the road department for our bush hogging purposes. We do not have a backup tractor now, and we have a tractor that's on its last leg now. Needless to say, back and forth through pricing and negotiation, it has been a process. Walking away, Terry actually physically ran the tractor out there and was well pleased with the tractor, I think, for what it was. It would suit what we needed it to do. We did not need the buckets on the tractor, so we've asked to remove the buckets. We asked to change the tires, but I'm talking about all three tractors. The rec department tractor, we asked for turf tires. They agreed to it. And what the bottom line comes down to, now this is totally up to you guys, but on the rec department tractor, we are at $21,782, and we budgeted $30 for that tractor. We did, on that particular tractor, we did get multiple price quotes, probably 4 price quotes. They were all different brands because there wasn't enough people that sold the same tractor throughout. So this is the one we've settled on. This company here is the same company that offered us the Deutsch tractors, the 85 horse tractors. They came back with a number, which I'm well pleased with, at $39,900 for an 85 horse tractor. And I won't call any names, but if I bought this same tractor in a John Deere, it would have cost me not quite triple, but really close to triple. So I'm pretty impressed at the price point. Myself, Terry, and everybody that was with us that day was impressed with the tractor because it is a non-electronic tractor. In other words, it's more of a mechanical piece of equipment. We do not have to have a computer to work on it. And because it being 85 horsepower, it's non-DEF.
Right.
So that was another major plus. I've asked them to give us extended warranty on these, and they have met that. They're going to give us a 5-year total warranty on these tractors, powertrain warranty on these tractors. What my question to this board would be, this would replace the tractor we have running now, but we do not have a backup tractor at all. If something goes down, now we're down again. At this price point, he did price them individually. It don't matter if we buy one or if we decide to buy 2. But if we decide to buy 2, it'll be above my dollar amount if we try to do it in one motion. Because you have a $21,700 rec department tractor, and then you have 2 road department tractors for $39,900. I could do them separately, but I felt like it's best to involve y'all. Go ahead, Mr. Adams.
All 3 tractors, or
No.
What's the red?
The small tractor, the small rec department tractor is a Bobcat tractor with a loader.
But it does have the front end loader.
It does have the front end loader, yes. It meets every quality. Now, it is hydrostatic.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Comments related to that, I don't particularly have a problem buying 2 for the road department and a single for the rec department, but because they are different departments, I believe I'd feel more comfortable voting on it.
we don't actually have to vote on it at all.
If we drop it that way.
If you drop it by department,
Yeah.
I can say this one's going to so-and-so, and we can get it, and I can get these for this one. I just felt more comfortable letting y'all know where we stood and having y'all's input before I make a decision like that. This is strictly informational. But if you want to vote on it, hey, I'll be more than happy to vote on it. Or let y'all vote, I'm sorry. But right now, so if you purchase all 3, let me give you your total. All 3 tractors together is $101,582. That's all 3. Pretty good, ain't it? I was tickled. I'm gonna tell you, I was tickled.
Well, and if you do vote The rec department would be from the 2021 budgeted,
21,782, and we budgeted 30,000.
2021 budget.
Yes,
And the two for the road department would be from the 2014.
correct. And the reason we can't use Splash is because it's a rec department tractor, and that money was not allocated for the rec department at the time.
But I guess that was what I was getting at. You got different cost centers and different pockets they're coming out of.
That's correct.
You know, so.
So the thought process one time was to label it road department tractor and let the road department use it, just decide
Yeah,
not to do
we
that.
did decide, yeah, we thought about that. That would probably be a stretch
Yeah.
to say that the Bobcat would also be rec department. We just loaned it over to, I'm sorry, road department, we loaned it to the rec department.
Right.
And I don't really wanna get into stretching something that thin.
Good.
It's better just let them do it and it be theirs.
That's right.
So if everybody's comfortable, we'll move forward on this. Derek, do you have any questions on this?
I just think this is a perfect opportunity for things to be written down, so you can just really see the, you know,
I got them.
instead of getting hit with it on the fly.
Yeah. Pass that down there. Well, you're welcome to look at them too. The two there you're looking at on the back, that is the one Deutsch tractor and the one Bobcat.
I mean, I know we need some equipment, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
As long as our department heads were happy with it, and, you know, I trust Terry's judgment, y'all's judgment, and everybody's judgment on it. So I'm not opposed to the purchase, I just,
Sure.
again, I think if a one pager saying, you know, equipment purchases and identify the funding, what it was,
I understand.
that just,
That I can make sure happens next time, because that's probably on me. Miss Rhonda only done what I asked her to do, so that one's on me. She would have broke it out however I liked, and I apologize.
you mentioned the fact that you asked them to remove the buckets off of it.
Yeah.
Do we need one? I mean, I'm just,
I asked
I
that.
asked Derek that question also, and he said for the road tractors doing mostly mowing, they're better off without them.
okay.
And really, no more than, Terry had actually thought that bucket attachment was about $8,000. And I would have thought the same thing, and then when they come back and said it's only $4,000 to add it, I was like, well, we ought to just get it, but then again, if you don't use it, it just sits there. Next thing you know, the hydraulic hoses is burnt and blah, 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 so,
Definitely a requirement on the rec department to have.
yeah, they have to. All right, moving on. Now,
What
statements,
was the, I'm sorry, but we're gonna purchase
the
the
two.
rec department tractor out of the rec department general budget that we had signed, or a capital equipment budget, as a standalone purchase, and then the two tractors out of the SPLOST will be a standalone purchase out of them.
That's correct.
Yes.
So 39,900 times 2 will be out of the Splash, and 21,782.81 will be out of the budget.
So when we did the budget, and my memory fades, I was thinking we did the budget without that 25,000 in it, or did we go ahead and put it in it, say that we do that as an amendment? Did you-
I'll look at it, but I wanna say it's already in.
Did- Okay. Just need to make sure.
30,000.
Maybe-
Yeah. Any statements or remarks from citizens on tonight's agenda? All right, old business. Consider approving resolution authorizing the tax commissioner to make a final determination concerning the waivers of interest and penalties. 5 and 6 can be done at the exact same time. Consider approving resolution authorizing the tax commissioner to receive payment by credit card. We had discussed this in the work session. I think the legality side of it's been taken care of through Mike, and I have spoke with Lamar, and he is good. If I have a motion to approve items 5 and 6,
I had a question on six.
I make a motion to approve, item 5 and 6 as, giving, the tax commissioner final determination concerning the waiver of interest and penalty, and then, the tax commissioner can receive payments by credit card.
All right, thank you, Brian.
I'll go ahead and second it so we can have it out for discussion.
Okay.
One of the questions I think I asked Lamar last time was there any benefit or any corporate, doing the credit card processing for one vendor throughout the county? I didn't ever hear any response back, so.
He hasn't, that gentleman hasn't came yet, but I have made him aware that when he does come, we are going to look at what the EMS credit card rate is, because now that we've got that up and going, and that's something I'm pretty proud of, is the EMS now can take payments online. You can make payments towards your EMS bill, not just, monthly, but whatever, minimal payment, whatever, and that way, that's pretty good. But, yeah, so we have 3 or 4 different departments that take credit cards now. And so when he gets here, we're gonna look at all the rates from everybody and try to find one source that we can deal with. All right, so I have a first by Brian, second by Terry. Ms. Teresa?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank y'all. Number 7, consider appointing Lee Mitchell to Planning and Zoning Commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we would gladly accept Lee Mitchell's willingness to serve on the planning commission.
I have a first by Terry Chandler. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Madison. All in favor? Derek?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Good job, Brian. It must not be that big of a delay, bud. I thought it was gonna be 30 seconds, but you're about 3 seconds off every one of them, so you're doing a good job.
Yeah. All right.
Welcome aboard, Mr. Mitchell. Consider amending section 2187 of the vehicle fleet policy. Consider amending section 2-204 of the transportation policy. Now, we can do these individually, but there's 3 in a row right here that's just, amending a section. I would rather do them all in one for time purposes, but it's up to you all. If everybody's comfortable, I'll ask for a motion for 8, 9, and 10. 10, consider amending section 4636 of the Park Recreation Board policy to change frequency of meetings. If there's no discrepancy on any of these 3 items, 8, 9, and 10, I'll ask for one motion to adopt all.
Did we make the change on 10? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
I sent
it was just that one word, I think.
Generally.
Yes.
Yeah. So moved. 8, 9, and 10.
Second motion.
I have a first by Derek, second by Terry. Mr. Adams?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotta love you, Brian. Thank you, sir. Number 11, consider conveying land with agreed upon survey where the Danielsville Fire Department is located. Consider conveying land with an agreed upon survey where the Danielsville Maintenance Shop is located. One you don't see on here was Collins, because at the time I had not had clarification from him, but I've got it since. And let me bring you up to speed on what I mean by that. So after speaking with both fire departments and the city of Danielsville, they have agreed to pay for any cost associated with us giving them this property. Means the new survey, the titling fee, the tax tag and title, there you go. Yeah, they've agreed to. Anything that is required by them to do, they're 100% on board with it, and wanted me to tell you thank you for the consideration just alone. Again, somewhere here in this paperwork, we have it should be the amount of land given. I know we had it in the work session paper.
Which one?
Well, they're all a little different.
Yeah, every one of them's different.
And the fire department will go out to bid. This is just permission to have before they spend the money to have the survey done. The board is agreeing to go forward with conveying the land.
Correct.
And these are all to the city of Danielsville, right?
No, there's the Danielsville Fire Department and the Collins Fire Department, and then the Danielsville Maintenance Shop is for,
Oh, I'm with you now, okay. Okay. So the one with the city, we could go ahead and convey that one as soon as we have the survey done, the others have to go out to bid.
right,
Okay,
right?
that's correct.
Yeah. Which is for this. What we would essentially be doing is exactly what DOC done for the county. We just give over the proper use of land to the proper, people using it. There we go. So I tell you what, because of that, let's break this out. Consider conveying land with agreed upon survey, where the Danielsville Fire Department is located and the Collins Fire Department. We'll do that in just one vote by itself, because all we're doing is agreeing to let them do that. 12, you're actually willing to give it over, which is the maintenance shop directly. It does not have to go out to bid, so we probably do need to look at those as separate.
So you need a motion to begin the process on the Danielsville, to grant permission to begin the process on the Danielsville Fire Station and the Collins Fire Station.
Yes, sir, that's it exactly.
I'll put that in form of motion in.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Terry Chandler, second by Mr. Adams. It's top for you.
Yes.
Discussion, please.
Sure.
I've kind of struggled with this, to be honest with you, looking
Okay.
at it and studying it and trying to get my head around it. And I think I've landed on some opposition, and part of it is on all the fire departments. I think we need to have a grander plan of where we think the volunteer fire department may be going. I have no illusions that we're gonna have a paid fire department, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the notion of, I've heard in the past sometimes too, that, if we had maybe a particular paid chief that could manage, training records, the vehicle equipment, we buy a fire department, or we buy splice money, we buy fire trucks, and then they're turned over to the individual departments, and then how collectively we can move those around, how do we do, and I'm not saying anything bad about any fire department, but I'm just trying to think holistically down the road, if a volunteer fire department, their volunteers, passed on and moved on and couldn't do it, what happened to that equipment, what would happen with that property? I just, do we have XYZ number of small buildings scattered about, and we knew we need to do a collective kind of regrouping and help build something a little broader that can last longer. Again, I have the utmost respect and appreciation for all the volunteer fire departments, but I have some consideration or concern about a quick opportunity to allow something to happen, and we're giving away property that we need to preserve for either the future or for at least a bigger picture discussion. I mean, none of the, not the fire chief as a whole is not here, but, just, that's my concern, and that's why I won't support this tonight. I think, lack of a better way to say it is, status quo right now keeps me a little more comfortable than releasing a piece of property that could be built either better or handled differently in the future. That's my concern.
Fair question, fair statement. To get to where you want to be, and I agree with you, we do need, well, we would have to start literally at scratch, because as it stands right now, let's just say a 2006 model truck that we splashed it, county funded it, taxpayers funded it, but they could up and do away with that truck. But it technically belongs to the county, not necessarily them. But we did deem it to them.
They buy it.
Yeah.
They buy it, yeah. Go ahead, Brian, you got more input, you're a fireman.
Yeah, I will make a comment. I think that it's a good thing to have deed this stuff over to the fire department, so they could use it for financing of buildings and stuff. They have the land, they could do that. bill, to finance, they actually use the truck to finance the building, so they have to be in, our name for the fire department to actually, to do the finance. But I think, agreeing with Derek here, we need a exit plan, so that, say that, whenever, the fire department, you know, if it comes to fixes to be the fire department for that area, then there ought to be some kind of thing where the county gets control back of that. So,
The dissolution clause.
it's not easy, like, individuals all of a sudden decide, well, we'll just sell everything and, you know, walk off with it. And I don't know exactly how we do that, you know, that Mr. Pruitt will probably could, enlighten us, some on those kind of things, maybe how we can set that up. But, I agree that's really what we need. And then I agree too that we do need someone from the county side of this thing that is I don't know what you want to call it, county fire chief or the fire chief liaison or whatever, that, you know, that there is some, and this could be done in the contract that we have with the, fire department, that, they do have to do some reporting and some, you know, we have some, rules or whatever that must be followed that are part of that, contract that could also, deal with these kind of issues. And I don't think there's anybody in the fire department that's legitimately, you know, the firemen themselves, because they're all volunteers and they're doing it, you know, number one, because they feel like they, you know, they want to serve the county, and number two, there is incentive to be in the fireman's pension fund for them. And, so they have already a bunch of regulations that they have to follow as far as the, Georgia, firefighters, the pension fund, and then as far as, you know, I guess the Georgia fire, you know, group or whatever. So, I just think that, yeah, we just need to get our arms around some of those little questions. And then I think then when you, roll it over to them, we at least know, sort of what happens if all of a sudden, you know, for whatever reason, that fire department is not going to exist, which I just don't really see that, but again, you never know.
Thank you, Brian. I mean, you're both correct. And there is a contract between the county and the fire departments for service. There is a contract stating what the county truly owns, Mike, right?
Well, so there's multiple sources of funding for the fire departments. So there's the SPLOST funding that's used to buy equipment for them. Now, anything bought with SPLOST money remains titled to the county. So the fire departments use it, but that's the county's property. Then there's second source of funding. There's the contract where they get a percentage of millage each year. So that's the contract for fire protection services, and that money goes to them, and whatever they spend, whatever they buy with that is theirs, because we're paying that in return for the fire protection services. And then, of course, the third source of funding is their own fundraisers that they do, which typically, for example, if they buy a fire truck and want the county to purchase it for them for sales tax reasons, they don't get the title for that truck until they pay the county for it, at which point it becomes theirs, and then they're buying that with their own fundraising sources.
Gotcha.
So you have some of what they have is ours, some of what they have is theirs.
Yeah.
So, just so I understand, because Derek's got me thinking over here. In the event that we, somewhere down the line, we have a training coordinator or a fire chief that I assume would be someone that would be elected or chosen from the collective fire departments, to represent all of the fire departments, say at a meeting like this. He'd also be responsible for making sure training was up to date, you know, that type thing. When the county purchases equipment, do we then lease it for $1 a year or something to the fire departments? Or how does that work, Mike?
When we purchase equipment, well, it depends on the funding source. So if we purchase equipment through SPLOST, I've never seen any written agreement for that. That's just sort of in addition to the money they get under the contract for the fire protection services. If we help them buy a fire truck or something like that with their own funds, then yeah, we have a conditional, it's usually called a conditional sales contract. Or sometimes we just become a guarantor or a co-borrower on the lease purchase agreement. Can be structured either way. Brian and I did some of these when he was with the bank, actually.
In the event that the county, through the SPLOST program, were to purchase a fire truck or a piece of equipment, that equipment was involved in an accident. The equipment belongs to the county, the driver belongs to the volunteer fire department. Would the county be liable for that?
Well, as long as the title's in the county, it's on our list, and that'd be on the list that Rhonda goes over, Rhonda and Todd now go over with Dan Horn every year.
Yeah, but we don't get fire trucks with SPLOST money.
Right, exactly. That would be,
Yeah, because there was an accident with a Dansville fire truck, and I don't know how it was supposed to be, but I'm gonna tell you, the fire department has the insurance, and the fire department handled the whole thing as far as the truck and any liability or whatever. So, you know, maybe the county was supposed to, these are the kind of things that I think need to be addressed in the contract, that language is not there at all.
and actually, I think the fire departments carry the liability insurance because you're operating them. But we have the insurable interest in the property itself, so if there's a loss and it's still ours, then we would get the insurance money for the loss on the truck.
So what we can do is, on this particular item, we're granting permission to move forward with the survey, to convey the land to them. It still has to go to bid. If they win the bid in the contract, we can literally write it to say that if this particular fire department no longer ceased to exist, that the property would revert back to the county. In this way, because if you lease it to them, they still can't use it as collateral.
That's a risk. What if they don't get the bid?
Well, I mean, I understand.
Well,
We have the right to, not
I realize that, but.
Well, luckily, we're talking about 2 instead of 11.
But that's part of the
Well,
question that I
yeah.
have for you.
This is just 2, then what are the other 9?
Well, the other 9 already own their own property.
So in your thought process of the bigger picture, where does it fit in the fact that we already have the others that are already on their own, that have their own property and building? This, to me, and I'm asking a question, I'm not making up statements. To me, this would just equate these 2 fire departments with where everybody else already is.
That's what it'll actually do, bring them to where everybody already is. What really should have been done, and you know, we can't
I'm
go
not
back
saying that's
20,
right.
30 years, but what really should have been done was 30 years ago, when they got the property and the county owned it, the county should have sold them the property and let them pay it back the same as they done a truck. And then they would have owned it outright, just like any of the other fire departments went out and bought their own property. But now this is basically the egg that we have to handle. It's already been done prior to us.
But if you've got, trying to answer your question here, in my bigger picture vision is, if that's the best approach for each one to finally have, that's one thing. I'm just not ready, I'm not there today.
Yeah.
The other part of that is, what if the community wants to really start, the county start having ownership in these things? That way, there's potential change in the volunteerism or leadership or whatnot. There's no, the county has that asset already established in that community, and if something happened to it, we wouldn't have to start over to replace it or help regenerate that effort. It's just a stepping stone to already being there. I mean,
In the area, in these two areas and in the Shiloh being
Or in any area.
Pokey be another one.
Yeah, it's just, I just,
Mike, do you have anything to add to this? Maybe a solution?
Well, so talking about the reverter clause, yeah, I'm not sure, so if you did that, you would be advertising the property where the Collins Fire Department is for bid, but saying as a term of the conveyance would be a reverter clause in the deed, I'm thinking out loud,
Yeah.
that if it ever ceases to be used for, a fire department, fire protection services, it reverts to the county. I'm not sure, reverter clauses are tricky, I'd have to
We have a dissolution clause in our Ag Center, in our corporation papers, because of the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish there. If we ever dissolve that corporation, then our properties go to the Board of Education.
Yeah, that's something different. So that's because you're a nonprofit corporation,
Right.
and one thing that's required to be in there is a dissolution clause. Your property still has to go to some public purpose, and the Attorney General oversees that. But that's different than an actual reverter clause in a deed of property. So,
Yeah. Would that serve the purpose we're concerned about here? I assume all the fire departments are incorporated.
yeah, well, yes, my understanding they are, but it's coming from a different angle. So we're talking
It's not
about
the same as a 501c3.
Not all of them are 501c3s, I know that.
right.
Some are, some are not.
Right. Yeah, what Terry's talking about applies to nonprofit, whether it's 501c3 or not, but again, we're back to that I guess, well, we're back to that problem of we have to put the property out for bid or auction, so.
Would that be one of the terms of the sale, is that?
It has to go to
The deed will have a reverter clause?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. I mean, the way y'all have described it so far, and again, I don't know if that reverter clause would be valid or not. I'd want to do some looking at that. What Terry's suggestion is saying, I guess, that one term of the sale is it has to go, the bidder has to be a nonprofit corporation, and you have to amend your charter or your articles of incorporation to put this dissolution clause in it.
So that was a question. That was
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
I really think what I'm hearing is we're not ready to do this.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean,
That's fine. There's no hurry on any of
and
this.
that's my preference, is pump the brakes and put a plan together that.
That's fine, absolutely fine. So I have a motion and a second.
I withdraw the motion.
I have a motion withdrawal by Terry Chandler. Mr. Adams?
Withdraw the second.
All right, so I have a motion to withdraw the second.
Now,
Until,
to make sure this doesn't die.
yeah, no, this
We have to
is,
do a plan, how do we define what plan we want to?
so Brian, could you hear any of that, bud?
Yeah, I heard.
Okay, so what we're doing is, it's not dying at the table, it's just, being postponed until we can basically regroup and come up with a better way to do the advertisement and or, protect all entities. How about that?
Yeah, I understand that, and, I think that, we can work with the fire department stuff.
Good deal. All right, so,
It could be even researched, like you mentioned, there's 9 already out there, and there's 2 that's kind of hanging, and we were trying to clean them up and make them, put some equality in it, but it could even start with the other 9 on what those deeds and recommendations
I
actually
agree.
say.
It's
Because
across
if
the
there's,
board proposal.
for example, if 8 out of those 9 have some sort of agreement that it would revert to the county or some sort of situation, then we're right back starting almost where we ought to take them over again. I mean, not take them over, but have that kind of coordination there.
actually, there's 8, because, Hull City owns the land under their fire department.
Questioning that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who'd be the good one maybe to help define this, and Lee might be a great one to tap on this, but maybe it would be more logical for us to define where we want to be, where we think ultimately we want this agreement to be, and then from that, look and see, take that to the fire department and say, here's where you are now, here's where we think we want to be, what do y'all think about that, and then how do we get everybody there?
Yeah, they have a chiefs meeting quarterly.
I almost flip it around and just I guess my question to the chiefs would be, what is the long-term plan that you would propose to the county for sustainable
Good idea.
fire services? How can we help you get there that makes sense to us and makes sense to the citizens?
Sounds good.
I mean,
That'd be just letting them drive it.
yeah, I mean, they're the experts in it. I mean, I just want, when I need them, I just want them to come, you know, I mean, but I want to help them, but I think we need to pick your plans.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely perfect. Item 11, hold, table. Item 12, convey land with agreed upon survey of where Danielsville Maintenance Shop is located.
We talk about just intergovernmental swap.
It's just an intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah.
Not really an intergovernmental agreement though, is it? This is
It's
actually
just
a
a
person.
conveyance to another government
It's
agency.
different, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to go out for this.
Correct, because they're
No, that's
also
what I'm
a
about.
government agency.
I do need a motion on this.
Motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Adams,
Item 12.
Second.
second on item 12 by Mr. Chandler.
Discussion?
Any discussion?
Yep.
Yep.
Similar to the previous conversation, I know the shop's there, and I know we're talking about cutting that off, but also, it's just, why don't we just have an agreement to let them use it instead of cutting it off that parcel? I mean,
That's what we have now.
that large parking lot out front, then you're gonna have to have an easement to get there. I just think you're creating a lot for, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what the benefit of just not having a use agreement with them in continuation.
So are there any issues as a result of the agreement?
Yeah, I mean,
Just letting them use it?
Well, yeah.
how do you get, I mean, you still
Is it
got
a
that
purpose?
driveway out there that preserves the road frontage, but
And
it just,
I know there potentially was one when there was a conflict.
That's right.
Issue about that.
And that's what that's all this is. We're trying to head off a future conflict. Because right now, we do have a lease agreement. The county has a lease agreement with the city saying that land is yours for this amount of time. At any point, they can break that lease agreement. It's written in there from the county side. So they can end it tomorrow and say, pack your toys and get off. It just makes no sense.
we own it.
You do own it. But I'm telling you, you could walk to the city of Danielsville and tell everybody, I'm taking my land back and I'm sorry your maintenance shop's sitting here, but you gotta get up and move because you own it.
Okay.
That's the reason, and I'm not saying it's gonna happen in this 4 years, but it could happen in the next 4 years or the next 4 years. At some point, if the county sees more value in it than the city does, then they could administer that right to take it back.
I'm still failing to see the problem with it.
Why would you wanna take the guy that puts the water in the water fountain at the courthouse's property? I mean, building. They keep it going for us. Why would you wanna do that?
But that was an agreement that was assigned originally, was we're gonna utilize this property, we know it's yours, and evidently they assumed some risk there is what I'm getting at.
The county owns 43% of the land in the city of Danielsville. The county owns 43% of the land in the city of Danielsville with a 1 mile radius.
Okay.
Why, we would be holding up 1.5 acre for future conflict for what purpose?
I guess that's what I'm not seeing with the future conflict. They've agreed to build a facility there.
The future
Yeah,
conflict could possibly be, we could ask them to get off.
Well, still, that's a contractual relationship that was established.
That's right, and now they're wanting to fix it, and I'm asking to fix it. Because, correct, just 2 years ago, it was just spoken, but we may come right through your maintenance shop with a driveway. And guess what the city of Danielsville would have done? Nothing. They couldn't do anything. You would have lost your maintenance department, you'd have lost your sewer and water for this courthouse. Why would you put yourself in that position or put them in that position over an acre of land?
Well, I guess I disagree with that philosophy, because if we contracted with them and they provide water and sewer services, regardless where their maintenance shop is, that's the service that they should provide. I don't see a benefit in carving this piece of property off when we can do how long can we do a lease agreement, Mark?
Oh, we're talking about just conveying it here, so you're just giving, I mean, you can do a lease agreement for up to 50 years.
Okay, so I mean, again, that's kinda what I'm.
So you wanna take the clause out of the lease agreement that says that we can kick you out at any time? Cause
I think
that would
what
fix the whole
Derek's asking is
problem,
what's
then
the
you can
advantage
retain
for
the
the
property.
county?
Yeah, I understand the benefit for the city, but I'm also trying to define, as a taxpayer, you know, people that don't live in the city of Dansville, what is the benefit of conveying a piece of property,
Cause it's
lock,
unusable.
stock, and, but.
Well, I'll be honest with you, it's unusable to us, as long as their building sits on it,
Has the city of Dansville approached us about this?
because they
County's
felt
building.
threatened that
It's
they were
the
gonna
county's
lose.
building though.
Huh?
It's the county's building.
It's not the county's building. The city owns the building, the county owns the dirt under the building.
No, improvements placed on real estate.
Well, yeah, I guess you could get technical and say, yeah, they built a building on your property and turn around and give it to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could say that. But that was city budget money that built that building. But yeah, if you read fine print well enough, you'll find that the county does own the building also.
Yeah.
But if you read it fine enough, you'll see that they don't pay you rent for the building that you technically own, because they built it and they funded it. Again, this is not a rushing matter. We can put this off to another work session. I have no problem with that. I'm just trying to clear up a potential future mess. Because 2 years ago, when that statement was made, it could have been a mess that day.
Well, I'm still trying to find in my head the size, a benefit to the city of cleaning up a future potential problem that I think can be handled via lease agreements. Now, if they wanted to expand their shop or something like that, they need to come back and have some conversation with us. I'm not trying to kick them out, I'm just trying to, I mean, there's interdepartment, intergovernmental benefits that serve both parties, and to me, I'm just trying to find the current benefit besides a future potential problem for a piece of property that we already own and we've got the rights to reclaim at any time.
I agree. So a motion on the table? Mr. Adams is to approve, Mr. Chandler is second.
Did I hear that this county needs to reserve an easement there for some access to something else?
The city would have to retain an easement to get to the maintenance shop.
Well, you're giving them the land to maintenance shops, so I don't think it's the motion.
But see, but the maintenance shop sits back here, and we own all this little odd, crazy looking shape. We even own the fire station there.
Oh,
So
you want to, okay.
So if we give them a landlocked piece of property, then we've got to provide an easement. I mean, that just further encumbers what's left of the property to me.
Gotcha.
That's,
So the motion is to convey some as yet to be surveyed tract that would be landlocked plus an easement to get to it.
Correct.
Okay.
Good questions.
Yeah, I would like to table this one as well. I think there's some more discussion that needs to be held.
I have a motion to approve by Mr. Adams, second by Terry, a table from Ms. Bettis. I assume you want to table this?
yeah, I'll take it to the table.
Second the table, Brian Kirk.
Yes.
I have a motion to approve by Terry, a second by, Mr. Chandler. I have a motion to table by Ms. Bettis, and a second to motion to table by Mr. Doster.
So Commissioner Bettis's motion is a substitute motion, and that has to be voted on first. I think that's what Commissioner Kirk was voting on.
Oh, okay.
Table.
So it is tabled at this time, correct? Mr. Kirk?
Vote to table.
Yeah,
Okay. Vote to table.
I'm
Okay. You gotta vote on it. Everybody's gotta vote on it.
All right, so now we're gonna go back around the table with a motion to table the first motion.
Yeah, vote on.
Motion to table the matter.
Motion to table the
Which if
matter.
that's
I think we'll
approved,
start with you this
that'll-
time.
yeah.
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Teresa? Brian?
Yes.
Brian? All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right, on to number 13. Consider formal adoption of Gosnell-Hutto Road with a 60-foot right-of-way. All right, so I think this process has been taking place for several years, correct, Rhonda? I think maybe you and Mike both know about this.
Yeah, a couple of
And
years.
it was held up by maybe 3 parcels, and they've come in and finally, the last one is signed now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm asking for a motion to formally adopt Gosnell Hutto Road with a 60-foot right-of-way. All participants involved has agreed.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Bettis to approve.
Second for discussion.
This is,
Second by Derek for discussion.
Go ahead.
When you say all parties, I just want to clarify, road department's good.
Road
I mean-
department's good and property owners are good.
Okay, just, when you said all parties, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Adam?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Yeah.
New business, consider hiring Dickie Hungsinger to fill in vacant part-time position at the transfer station. I have his application here. Alan brought me this request. As far as I'm aware, it has been fully vetted. And your, questions that you had asked, Mr. Adams here recently, I think that was also took care of here. Not pertaining to this one, but the way it was handled. How about that? All right, so do I have a motion to, hire Mr. Hunsaker to fill a vacant position, part-time position at the transfer station?
So moved.
Motion by Derek Doster, to have a second. Terry Chandler, second.
For clarity,
Huh?
I can't stop talking. For clarity, the motion, do we need to make it, and maybe I got a little lost in the emails, but the motion that we make for hiring somebody, is that the appropriate time to require, per background check and,
I think it has to be that way.
drug test or whatnot?
That's right, yeah, that's a good question. So,
When does that phrase need to be there, Mike, is what I'm...
so, yeah, really, so every time you approve a hire, it should be
Pending.
motion to make a conditional offer of employment pending satisfactory background checks, drug screening, whatever's required.
That's the way we need to word it from now on
The
then.
county
Okay.
does require drug screens.
Yes, sir.
And we do get the 7% decrease on our workman's compensation for that.
I would think so.
I mean, we post it as a drug-free workplace everywhere.
Yeah, we do, we do.
Okay.
That's another
I'm
topic.
good.
Uh,
I'm good with this.
Well, I would amend my motion for,
Okay.
Conditional
Let
offer.
Let me
of
just
employment.
restate it then, and that'll be easier. Consider hiring Dickie Hunsinger to fill the vacant position at the transfer station based upon the passing of all county,
Yeah, all the screens that are
all
required.
screens doing with the county.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so I had a first by Derek, second by Mr. Chandler. All in favor, Ms. Bettis?
yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Brian,
Yes.
you the man. You still hanging in there, brother?
Yeah, can I just, ask a question?
Sure.
Into that?
Sure.
All right, so, whenever we get an application, it's just like an application with, Caterpillar, once, even before you're offered the job, they're doing the, I guess they are saying that you are a candidate for that job, but they do multiple people, so they do the drug test and the other screening. I guess we don't wanna do that, because we don't wanna, that would mean we'd have to do everybody, is that correct?
Well, and it's also
Every new
different.
hire.
It's also different because we're government, so we have a Fourth Amendment issue that private employers don't, so that's why we have to make the conditional offer of employment before we do the drug screen.
So then he grants us that.
Thank you, Mike, you've answered that.
On,
Thank you.
on that that somewhere after they make the job offer, after the background check, the physical, the drug screen, the employee's hired, could we get that as a follow-up, just in the meeting, just this employee is in place now?
Yeah, that's no problem.
Whatever, just so that we know, next month we don't get an application because somebody wasn't able to.
Yeah, absolutely. Any road updates from any commissioner?
Oh, we do.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, and not to complain all the time, but I did get a thank you from the folks on the Williams-Wilson Road about addressing the thing, next to Dollar General and the Hanley property. The folks on the Stoy-Smith Road, thanks for the riprap at the culvert. Trimming up the trees on the Sanford Road between, Martin Griffith and the Nowhere Road, Seagraves Mill Road intersection. I got a thank you for that. Ms. Grogan contacted me again. She would really like her cul-de-sac paved. And then the last thing I have is on Smith Road. I'll pass this to, there are several potholes on that road. The first being, right at 106 and the Smith Road, and then on through to where it intersects the Sanford Road. And then also the sides of the road are breaking away and it needs to be evaluated.
No problem.
Correct.
I'll get this.
That's all I've got.
I'll get this to him in the morning.
Thank you.
Can I have one of those?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Chandler?
Yeah, I had just a few, Macedonia Church Road and Timberlane Trail, and both of which I had visited with Derek on, and they either were already done or they're going there today when I talked with him, and that's great. Brian, I hope you don't think I'm stepping on your toes. I had a friend in your district, James Springs Road, and Derek and I went over there Friday, and they've already got a plan to help him out with that. So that's taken care of, or will be taken care of. And I got a call that Denny had also on Paradise Valleys. We'll be looking at it. It's apparently still private. We may want to look into see if that's one we put on the list to make a county road. But I will do some looking and asking and report back.
Let me comment, I do appreciate that, especially since I'm not gonna be physically able to do those roads, so, if someone, contacts you, and, I do appreciate that very much.
Got you covered, bud. Ms. Madison?
Had a thanks from, on Thomas Road, for the gravel on Thomas Road, and haven't had really any calls, but just a slide through Windsor Heights.
Windsor Heights. Got you.
A couple of calls made.
What's it look like? Do you have any idea?
Just a few little potholes here and there. And
Oh, okay.
I said, well, just tell me which one she wanted.
They just said ride through it and check.
That's right.
Okay, no problem.
That's happened before over there.
They got a couple, Faith Road, it's a new subdivision road off of Colbert Dansville Road, and, I talked to Alan about it, and it's one that the culvert wasn't put in due to some utilities and such, but I think it's gonna continue to wear and get some issues, so we'd look at that again and have some additional attention to that particular matter. HV Channel Road, that's a railroad crossing,
That's already underway.
talked to Alan today, and he shared that, or for the record, some of the railroad crossings are responsibility of the railroad. However, some private industry, and then the road department's gonna take care of some temporary patching, and, hopefully get it, with springtime, or paving weather gets.
Yeah, he tell you about basically the cross ties under, it's what's give way, so every time they patch and run over it, they lift up and breaks it loose, yeah.
So Alan gave me an update on that today, but just for the record, I wanted to say it. Got a call about Green Ridge Court. It's a small subdivision, and, it's breaking apart, like a lot of our local roads.
Yeah, we done, myself and, Alan rode the other day, the amount of money we have for roads, the amount of roads we have in miles, what it costs to pave per mile, it would take 45 years to fix all the roads.
No, it's gonna take long.
based on dollar amounts. But the problem is, when you get to the end, you're already 25 years past fixing the ones you just fixed. It's literally a dartboard of a county map, and just throw a dart, and that's what's gotta be fixed. Wherever it lands, I can guarantee you, needs to be fixed. Problem is the finances don't allow it. So, but I promise you, the guys are working. They've got a good plan coming into March and April of what they're gonna really start working on, and I'm really excited. I think we're gonna have a lot of happy people, but there's still gonna be those that says, why didn't you get mine? That's because it's impossible to get them all. But either way.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Well, I did receive an email, and I think I sent this on, but I wanted to make sure that, a person on Collins Brooks Road, requested that we look at that, because they, are building a house there, and, that the road is in pretty nasty shape, and, they were looking at maybe some gravel in some areas or whatever.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any more?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Urgent matters, budget amendment. All right, y'all are familiar with these. You have a copy from the sheriff's office, and this is literally just to clean up 2020 revenue expenditure from the state seizure fund and a jail commission account. Donation account and donation budget. This is a formality that I'm being told from Kathy that's done every year. Anybody have any more than that? That's all I have on it.
I had a question, not a complaint or not a problem.
Yeah.
I go back on that first one, obviously the expenditures are roughly double what the revenues are. So does that mean they pull from another revenue source to do that?
That would be my assumption, is how they done that. Kathy said it's not uncommon to have this practice, to where I think when they set their budget on these particular line items, it's strictly a guess, but they're normally high enough that they can transfer them across to where it's not an auditing problem. And that's why we just have to say, okay, they did do this, it is corrected. Now we vote on their corrections to make our auditor appeased to what happened.
Or did they have a balance with
Or they may have,
prior years?
or they may have had a balance.
Or they may,
balance
yeah.
carried over.
I don't know, but I know that occurred with the seed bank before.
Well, the last time I asked you, the answer was there was excess carryover, and that's why I think last time I asked for those kind of statements, it would be great to have that balance there to show that you're really, because I think I asked the question specifically, like, we are not liable
Yeah, we don't owe what $39,000.
for bringing it out of general fund to cover that expense.
Yeah, you did that.
So on this matter, I just need a motion to adopt, tonight's budget amendment, for the sheriff's office.
So moved.
Have a motion by Derek Doster. Do I have a second? Teresa? Second by Teresa. Derek, you're the first one.
Yep.
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Yes.
It carries. Thank you.
Are you doing the 2021 budget separate?
Donation.
On the resolution? Is that what you're talking about? Yes. Actually, that could have been for both. I apologize. So also, I'm gonna need a motion to approve the 2021, budget amendment for the sheriff's office. I should have done them both, and I apologize, I didn't state it correctly.
Move to approve the amendment.
I have a motion by Terry. Second?
Second.
Second by Derek Doster. Denny?
Yes.
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Gotcha. All right, thank you, guys. Thank you for pointing that out, Rhonda. Statement remark from citizens. Or does anybody else have anything at the table before we go to citizens? All right, hearing none, is there any questions or comments from the citizens?
Just just have one question, these employee change forms, is that for our information, or do we take?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's employee, yeah. Just showing you whether they got an upgrade or a promotion or something like that, probably from the sheriff's office, more than likely, but yeah. Just one quick statement, because we've been here a long time. Be prepared, March 1st is gonna be a long meeting also. We have a lot of items on it. Some of the items are very complex items. But I had to give thanks to two officers, and this come from our previous chairman, Dove, and the two officers' names were, what happened was an officer was riding down the road here on Highway 29 North. His mother, Miss Dove, had fell in the yard, and it caught the eye of a Madison County deputy, Carolyn Gibson, from the sheriff's office. She turned the car around to go assist her. At that time, the Danielsville PD pulled up and assisted her also, and Anthony says he just wanted everybody to know how proud he is of our sheriff's department and EMS and 911 to just catch out the corner of your eye when driving by, and instead of letting it fall, they just turned around and went back and assisted her. She was perfectly fine, but I think at really close to 90 years old, it's good that people look out for others, and he just wanted to make that clear. If no other, wait a minute, let me flip the page here. Statements and remarks from commissioners. I jumped the gun on that one. All right, executive session to discuss real estate acquisition, personal matters.
I think
Well,
it's enough
are you-
statements for
Okay.
citizens.
Yeah, come on.
And I know everybody's been here a long time, and you already heard me once.
That's all right.
And I appreciate you considering the Citizens Advisory Board. My name is Drago Savage. I live at 959 Highway 172, Culver, Georgia. I'd first like to read a couple comments by my wife, Ruth Ann Titanovich, and I'll go ahead and try to get through these. She handed this to me when I was leaving the house, but I'll get it as quickly as I can. Her first comment is, I'm a 69-year-old, therefore in high-risk group for complications due to my age if I contract the COVID-19 virus. Additionally, I've recently been diagnosed with autoimmune disease and being treated with high doses of immunosuppressants, so to attend a BOC meeting in person so that I may speak for myself is a risk she cannot take. I do not agree with the county board's decision to discontinue participation in public by Zoom. Furthermore, I do not feel that I have direct access to participate in a public meeting as required by the Open Meetings Act. For clarity, I'll just add my own comment with this. I would love to see the board bring Zoom back. COVID cases are dropping. The pandemic is getting better, if you can call where we're at better, but it's better than it was. The Zoom meeting was working well for a lot of people, and I know several other people in the same situation who cannot take the risk. I've had 2 shots that have a mask, but there are people who can't do that, and it was a technology that was working well. Even if you just brought it back until this crisis gets to the point where pandemic is dropped, you know, it would be an advantage to a lot of the citizens in the county to be able to look in and watch everybody perform and take part in the meeting. Her second comment is that many people oppose issuing the NPDES wastewater permit to Madison County, Georgia Renewable Power. This wastewater permit is all about industry profit, not the health of the people or the health of our water. We, the people, know that we have to coexist with GRP, but we want to do the right thing and want them to do the right thing and dispose of their industrial wastewater in an environmentally safe way, not dump polluted water into our wells, waterways, Watson's Mills State Park, and the Savannah River Basin. She's on record as opposing the issuance of this permit by the EPD. What I want to add back to the board is GRP came here with no real plan for getting rid of this wastewater. They knew they'd have wastewater, but they didn't really have a plan. They were just going to dump it. Private landowners stopped them from doing that. And over the course of their time of operation, you know, they've reached a point with the landowner that they can go ahead and do this. But what I want to point out, it has nothing to do with tax money that you would get from GRP. GRP is looking for the cheapest way to get rid of their wastewater. that the cheapest way to do that is to dump it into our streams and rivers, which is the most expensive way as far as I'm concerned, as far as this board should be concerned. What I'd like to see the board do is join us and issue a statement that they oppose the EPD issuing this wastewater permit. GRP is getting rid of their water right now. The problem is they're paying to do that, and they don't want to pay the price they're paying. They want the cheapest way out, and they want it at our expense. So I encourage you of this permit, and let GRP figure out a way to get rid of their wastewater that is better for us instead of better for them. The other thing I want to mention is we did a survey, MCCPC, and we're going to complete our survey at the end of the month. And I know the sound survey was just completed, the sound study that Derek, that you were overseeing. So I think at your work session or something, we might be able to combine the results of all these and come up with a solution to the noise problem that has been created by GRP. And that's it for the night for me. Thank you all.
Let me try to answer those before you leave. So going back to the very first question. Basically, you would like to see Zoom come back. That was not the board's choice. That was my choice. I've done that for a few different reasons. I explained one today to Ms. Lee
And you had talked to me about it.
And I'd replied back also to your wife in the email. Zoom is not something I'm interested in doing. If anybody here wants to take on Zoom and the responsibilities of Zoom, I will be more than happy to let them. You saw tonight's agenda having 20 items on it. We would be an hour further into this discussion if I had Zoom right now. I've got to stop what I'm doing. I've got to allow everybody to speak. I have to answer the questions from the chat for the people that don't have video and or audio. The downside to Zoom is just like Facebook. The only problem is when they key on without an audio or without a video, they can sit there and throw knives and daggers at whoever they want to throw them at. And it's already out there to everybody that's chimed in on Zoom. If I want to make an accusation based off a computer screen from my living room in Tahoe, I can. And I would have to try to justify those daggers that just went out to the world. Same way Facebook works. People are very bold behind a computer screen. I prefer them to come in here. Now, as far as health goes, the majority of the people that has health problems still shop. They still eat. If this is important enough, I would ask you to attend. If there's not enough room for social distancing, then we will find a room big enough for social distancing. If you know, for instance, you didn't feel comfortable in here, you didn't have enough room, we would have made way, even if we would have used a courtroom. But just know that it was not the board's choice to do away with Zoom. This was my choice as chairman to do away with Zoom.
And
I felt like I could not adequately run the room and the meeting and get across while chiming in back and forth with people answering. It happens daily to people that's way more computer savvy than I am. I've seen it. I've been on those meetings. I've watched a lady the other day conduct one with 18 people on it. She done a phenomenal job, and I congratulate her for it. That's not me. I can't do it.
So it's really just because you would feel comfortable doing it.
I would not feel comfortable doing it, but I also, again, I don't feel comfortable with somebody sitting at home behind the keyboard that could technically open a window to throw knives at this board and not have any way to respond. It could just be an accusation, but once it's out there on that keyboard, everybody sees it. Everybody that's in attendance sees it. And it could be under John Smith, and it really not be John Smith. It could be Mary Jane that made that comment with no video, no audio. It's just like the newspaper. They will not publish an article without a name at the bottom. I prefer, if you want to be in a meeting, to please come for me.
Okay.
That's it. That's all. Now, the second one, with the water stream. Now, I did hear you say, and I read the email today, said that Elberton was taking the water.
I think there's 3 separate places in Elbert County that are taking, one private. And
What are they doing with the water in Elberton?
you know, I know they take the water out in trucks and take it, like I said, I think there's 3 facilities. And one of them is a licensed, privately owned facility, Aquaterra, I think they're called.
Okay.
So my whole point is, I'm not sure what Elberton, they're treating the water, then they have a land application source there. They first started taking to our facility, but the EPD found out that our facility couldn't handle the capacity that they wanted to take them. So that
ground
was stopped, and
saturation
luckily,
absorption rate went
our
high.
facility wasn't fined or anything for violating that. Now they have 3 places they're taking it to. But again, I think the point is, they have other solutions to their water problem. And
I'm not disagreeing, I was just curious
Yeah.
where it went. I wanna make sure we wasn't dumping it in a lake,
Right.
because, you know, all water eventually makes its way to the same point, so.
No, their water will eventually get into the streams and waterways, Watsonsville, the Broad River, the Savannah River. 200,000 gallons or more a day, that's unavoidable, you know. And they said, they even had a statement that their water was safe, and they did a test on it, and found out there's arsenic and phosphorus. There's things in it that are harmful. So if you would go against it, it would stop them from getting a green light to basically just throw their dirty water out the back door. That's what they want to do, so.
I will say, and I'm gonna try to answer your question the best I can with the power that I have. I would like for them to do the right thing also, but the EPD holds the keys to whether they do the right thing. It would never be me, and it would never be this board that would override EPD.
But
We're
get-
not scientists,
but
we're
getting
not
rid of the-
biological chemists, but, I mean, I would be more than happy to tell you on record that I wish they would do something better with their water, but I can't clarify what better even is, the word better itself.
But if the board would just oppose the issuance of the permit, it would carry a lot of weight. It was like the railroad ties were legal, what they were doing was legal. But because of the public outcry, in support of boards like this, you know, it's now illegal to do in the state. All I'm saying is let GRP take care of their own water problem at their expense, not at ours.
I understand, thank you.
I tell you what, excuse me, I have a question along those lines, or maybe a direction. And I actually talked to one of the vice presidents, one day last week. I was trying to learn more about this issue and what needed to happen. One of the things I have not seen is, obviously EPD would have to permit any sort of water disposal. So what are the standards that they are allowing? And I don't necessarily equate this to, but there's a reality and picture for me, like the Danielsville water treatment system. That's not really water treatment. Danielsville has a permit to unload so many gallons a day.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason essentially the reason that the GRP water couldn't go in there, because it would make them exceed their permitted discharge. But the Danielsville sewage system that's not really treated water. It's aerated and it's screened, so you don't have solids going through. And not to minimize the issue of GRP, but I try to put things in sort of an area of perspective or reality. I'm assuming, and I have not talked to EPD on this, but I'm assuming that there's a level of acceptable contents of whatever in water for it to be discharged, and they're going to have to meet that. And there's going to have to be a testing procedure, just like their exhaust testing procedure that is set up there. So, assuming that is in place, and it will have to be, is it appropriate for us to, as a board, to speak against the permitting of that water without knowing first? Is it really a concern?
That's a good way to put it, and I appreciate what you're saying. But again, I think what we have found out since GRP got here is that these standards that companies have to meet are set too high, and that's a whole other issue, you know. But public support and public outcry against something that is not technically right to do, you know, to dump the water into these streams and stuff, just to show that you don't approve of it. You know, the part of what the EPD weighs in when they look at something, that's why they have a public comment period, is to hear what the people have to say. So if we're saying one thing, and if you're saying the same thing, they're going to look at it a little more serious. They can do it this way if they have no other choice. They have other choices. They're doing it right now. They don't need this cheap way for them to do it. Let them continue getting rid of the water the way they are now, or find another way to do it without dumping it on the land and into the streams or rivers here. Whether it's legal or not, it's a cheap way for them to do it.
I hear where you're going with that, and I don't discount that. I don't disagree with it necessarily, but the way my mind works, I need to see it scientifically. And I'll tell you basically the reason why I've been on the other side of this issue. From this is 20 years ago, or a little more than that, I guess. When we were in the hog business, EPD was looking at changing the rules on liquid manure handling. All of the outcry, or whatever whatever, and it was public comment period, same thing, it was a consideration of a change of rules. The concern or the public comments that were made purely based on perception and there was no facts, there was no sampling, there was no scientific basis to it other than perception. Mm-hmm. Now, perception becomes reality whether there's any fact to it or not. So what I'm saying is if the reality is that it's pure water, or if it's as good as my drinking water, then it doesn't matter to me whether they put it in there or not. And I need to know if it's a problem, if there are issues with that water, I will be the first one to stand there and say, look, this does not happen. But I'd like to know up front, is it or is it not?
I'll send you some information, and again, I don't mean to keep prolonging the meeting.
No.
But, you know, drinking water is going into the facility, and you can't drink it coming out until it goes through this dispersion and absorption in the ground and gets in the, you know. So the answer to that is I don't think you'd want to drink the water coming out of the plant. Mm-hmm. And it was drinking water going in. The other thing is,
stretch now. If I wash my truck, the water coming out of the hose I can drink, but I ain't gonna lean under my truck and drink the dirty water coming off of it. But does it make it a contaminant? No. So,
but the other point about
now.
this is, you can have a plant like GRP that operates at 2, and they can operate at 2, but this is Madison County. We want them to operate at 8 or 9. So they have other choices in this case that are illegal to do. They're only choosing this one because it's the cheapest way to do it.
So I have a question. What would be an alternate for them to do? What is the solution?
Right now, they're taking it, you know, by truck.
Yeah, but I'm talking about what would you propose as a solution?
I'd say they should at least do that, you know, or find the best solution for getting rid of their water for everybody, not just for them.
Okay, but you don't have any idea, maybe a recommendation that we do something with it. You do have a recommendation?
No.
All right, I want to hear that one.
We have a recommendation from, Frank Carl, who is a PhD in biochemistry.
He's also
He's with Savannah River Keepers. He, was on board when Pearland, Trustoy, he was on all of that. He's very familiar with what's going on over there. So what is happening right now is the water is going to 2 treatment facilities in Elberton.
That's right.
Those facilities are treating the water and releasing it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so then the rest is going to Aquaterra, and they are treating the water and getting rid of it. What Frank Carl suggests is that they set up their own treatment facility on their own property and turn those wetlands into an area where they can treat that water and not release it into these impaired creeks, which, and I'll be happy to send you all the scientific stuff to go with it that I've received from Dr. Carl.
This is coming directly from GRP.
And this is addressing only GRP.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and he has looked over all of this information, and he said, you know, he would be happy to talk with you and explain it to you. But he has recommendations on how they could treat their water, and then they wouldn't be releasing formaldehyde, ammonia. There's a huge list of just very volatile chemicals in the water that is being trucked off-site that we don't want released in Beaver Dam Creek, which goes to Watson's Mill, Broad River, Savannah River Basin, and so forth and so on.
So it's chloroform and cyanide, we're all.
Chloroform, cyanide, formaldehyde, there's a huge laundry list. You know, we picked out the most volatile for the emails because you wouldn't want to read a whole paragraph of chemicals.
So Mike, to help you, the chairman of Oglethorpe County now, as of this year, Jay Paul, 17 years EPD. He's now the chairman of Oglethorpe County. He's got people calling him wanting to know what we're going to do in Madison County about the water that's flowing through their county. He would give you some insight as to where the rules and regulations fall with EPD, how they come up with them. You know, is like he said, the biggest misinformation is people understanding dilution. If you say I'm turning loose 200,000 gallons, that seems like a lot, but are you diluting it by 10 million gallons to the point it does not affect anybody or anything? So he would be a good contact to talk to. because he has his own issues, where we all do right now, y'all, we do, trust me, you've run an ad on the paper about it, about the ag process. But either way, that would be a good contact. You can have an unbiased opinion from an ex-EPD guy that may tell you, give you some boundaries as to what's acceptable and what's not, so you know what might be coming down the pipe. Now, as far as your third statement about the air quality, not the air quality, but the noise sound study, we haven't received it yet. I heard it just wrapped up today. So I don't know how long it'll take them to get me those results or us those results, but as soon as we do, sure, we'll go public with those results.
Okay.
The number's 50,000 gallons a day, I believe.
What's that?
50,000 gallons a day.
But their permit the permit they are applying
205,000.
for allows over 3 million.
Yeah.
So that's a huge discrepancy, and I have taken the EPD to
How much?
task personally about it.
3 million
Up to
The
3
permit,
point
if you
something
read-
million.
per day?
If you permit,
Yeah, see, they don't even have that volume coming in.
Per
It's
day.
impossible. Oh,
But
they
the
permitted as
point
much
of the
as they
matter
possibly
is,
could, even though it's not there. I got you.
some say 20,000, and then you got 3 million. Okay, no, that's like giving a pack of Oreos to a 5-year-old and saying, eat one.
Well,
I'm sorry.
so if you recall back at the very start process of this, they had to have 1 million gallons a day. We ain't there yet.
Right.
They ain't even getting that because we can't supply them that. And we will never probably be able to supply them more than 1 million gallons, and all 6 surrounding counties together dumping in the same direction ain't gonna get them that. So be aware, just because they got 3 million gallons, they're not gonna be able to use it. It's just not there.
The last thing I would add is this: it's like buying a new car. GRP is operating about the best they can operate right now. As the years go by, it's gonna get worse and worse and worse. That's just industry. That's what happens. You know, so what we allow them to do now will be something we have to live with forever. So
I understand.
opposing this is not necessarily going to change it, but it does voice an opinion that supports the public opinion, you know, the people that live near the plant that are downstream from the plant. So, okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you stepping up. Anybody else have anything else before I ask for a motion to adjourn?
I do, and I'm gonna be as quick and concise as possible.
Here comes Gina.
I know. Commissioner Adams and Commissioner Chandler, thank you for joining the crew. We're happy to see new faces and fresh meat on board. Nice way to put it, right? Okay. So, my friend Dave Ramsey asked me to come speak for him. So, I'm reading Dave Ramsey's address by Dave Ramsey to the Madison County Commission. He lives in District 1. I want to thank the commissioners for finding a way for me to address you through Mrs. Ward. I do not yet feel safe to be in a crowd due to the coronavirus outbreak. Because I live in the west end of the county, I am not subjected to the daily assault on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that my neighbors around Colbert must endure. But the Bible tells us, do not stand idly by when your neighbor's life is threatened. Everyone in our county should be alarmed about what is happening to our neighbors around Colbert. We should also realize that if another industry wanted to locate anywhere in our county and assault any of us in our homes with excessive noise and light, we currently have no recourse to prevent it. Before GRP came along, we had a noise ordinance, but our county commission decided to placate a private business at the expense of the people who voted for them as their representatives. I won't say you, because this is not the same commission that dismissed that ordinance. But the ordinance needs immediate repair. I hope the commission will realize the seriousness of the damage being done and not wait for studies or promises or stand idly by while this assault continues. There are good noise and light pollution ordinances available that protect the rights of citizens and allow heavy industry to operate with respect for the people. Neighboring Clark County added noise and light pollution ordinances to their code a few years ago. Clark has more industry than we do, including an airport, but they have taken responsible steps to protect their citizens. This can be done. I am asking the Commission to review the Clark ordinances, their enforcement mechanisms, and penalties for violations. That could be a good start to revising our current ordinance. But please do this soon, because people are suffering, and you have the power to stop it.
Thank you.
I submit that on behalf of my friend Dave Ramsey. And then, just as a follow-up, I have passed these out with the previous board, and I'm gonna pass them out again. And the first page is a chart, and I, for one, can go through at least half of these and tell you that I am suffering from it. And noise pollution is real. It makes you crazy, and y'all know I don't need any more crazy than I already have.
He didn't laugh.
But it is, and this is, and if you look at the bottom of this chart, if you get your microscope and look at that writing, this is put out with information from Johns Hopkins University, the World Health Organization, the something Heart Journal. Anyway, I mean, these are scientists, and they're talking about the damage it's doing to my life. And I told Todd, I've dropped 25 pounds. I'm losing my hair. My hands are always cold. My feet are always cold. My blood pressure is up. I'm constantly mad. And if you knew me 10 years ago, you'd know that wasn't who I was. So I just want to give this to you as some informational reading, and I certainly hope that you will take it seriously, please.
No problem.
I brought you one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, young lady.
And I have one for Brian
Thank you.
Kirk, for
Yes,
Commissioner Kirk.
just leave, we'll put it in his box.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you. I would like to, try to answer, I'm gonna round this off, I promise, I'm gonna get this out of here by 8 o'clock. But I do wanna address, 2 items, for Mr. Ramsey. Just because he's not here don't mean I won't address his items. First off, noise ordinance. I've stated this, I think with both of you and several other people in this county. The noise issue can never be retracted. It's not gonna be retracted. If it does, it'll surprise me, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's a lot bigger than GRP. What I say is look over the scope of GRP and realize that we have another major industry in the county that creates way more noise than GRP, and it's Williams Pipeline. Williams Pipeline serves gas all the way to Maine, New Jersey. They pump it from here to there. This particular industry, 20 miles away, at 1 in the morning, you can hear it if it was only a football field away, 20 miles away. This ordinance should have been in place 40 years ago when they opened the Williams Pipeline. Somehow it wasn't. At no point could you administer a noise ordinance that would force them to be shut down now at a certain time, whether it be 12-hour shifts or before midnight. The next one, and I will explain this the same as I did Ms. Jones today. If I send Michael Moore, our sheriff, to enforce a noise ordinance on Williams Pipeline at midnight, the President of the United States will call me on my phone, ask me if I hit my head, because the people in Maine are freezing to death, they need gas. So I'm taking GRP out of the scope, and I'm looking at it as a complete county and saying that there cannot be a noise ordinance that can be retracted, because then you would affect something we have no control over, which is Williams Transco Pipeline. I can't put a restriction on just GRP when Williams Pipeline is doing the same thing. We'll be in a lawsuit that none of us can afford. So try to put the noise ordinance part to rest, because there's nothing we can do about it. Unless Williams shuts down tomorrow. If they shut down tomorrow, then and GRP shuts down tomorrow, we could put one for future businesses that come in and says at midnight, guys, you gotta shut her down, people's gonna sleep. But at this point in the game, it will never happen. I say that this board may vote against me on it, but they have to keep in mind that we have pipeline pumps all the time, and it's really excessive in the cold winter months. Second thing to Mr. Ramsey, reverts back to the first as far as the Zoom meetings are concerned. If anybody here would like to run Zoom, we will bring it back. But I personally am not going to do that. Last question Mr. Ramsey had? I can't remember it.
wanted you to review Clark County's ordinances.
Sure. All right, so I have no problem with that. I'll be more than happy to look into that. And when I say I'll do it, I do it. Light pollution, I've heard that too. What one calls light pollution, OSHA calls a standard. It just is. Well, now, they may have to not dim them down, but they may have to re-angle them. Redirect them, yes. But as far as saying it's just too bright in that area, OSHA says you gotta have it. Again, it's things that's over a county level's head. A lot of this, and I do agree with you, and I think y'all done an absolutely wonderful job, amazing job to fight the Gold Dome and getting the cross tie changed. I applaud you, each and every one of you, for all your hard work for that. But there's some things that's over this board's control. It just is. And again,
I'm speaking out of turn, but it's not against the board's position to join in with.
no, it's not, I agree,
That's
but we
all
will,
I'm saying is support what the public's doing. An amazing amount of things can be
Yes.
done when you have the support of your government officials.
I agree.
So that's kind of what we're asking, is just for total support on issues you agree with.
These men and
Say you
women can
agree.
join you at any point in time. I will join you at any point in time, once I see the facts, because I'll never jump on a blind train to nowhere. But once I see the facts, I get the study back from EPD, I see their rules and regulations, I see your science report, talk with GRP, and if it makes sense, I'll go with you to the Capitol. That's not a problem. But first, I gotta do it knowing I've got a path that leads somewhere.
And in return, we just feel like we're supposed to roll over and take it, and we have no recourse. And you read the information about noise and noise pollution and what it does to you, and there are days when I wake up in my home, and I'm not speaking only for Gina, I'm speaking for my community.
Miss Gina.
Where I wake up and I say, I can't take another minute. And
I agree.
and, you know, y'all will hear over the police scanner when they call the sheriff's department when I go walking in their front doors. And I didn't try to storm the Capitol.
Let's try not to do
But I
that.
went and asked them what was making all that noise. Because I hear 5 different sounds out of that place, and I never know when it's gonna happen. So, we're just looking for support from the board to help us persuade them in whatever form possible to quiet it down. That's all we want.
As I told you, and Mr. Drago said him in my office, we'll catch more flies with honey. I would take the billboard down if we're gonna get anywhere, guys.
I disagree.
If you, what gives them an incentive to wanna help you when they read that billboard on the way to work?
They've never made an attempt.
They tell. Now, I gotta go out on a limb here, but they've made a lot of progress. They ain't where you want them to be, by no means. They're probably not where any of us wants them to be, but they have made progress, and they have tried. Now, granted, did they start off on the wrong foot? Probably, I agree with you. Are they trying?
One thing they've
Yes.
done is what the EPD told them to do.
I agree with that, and that's what big money normally does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with that. All right, any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, you going to 18? I'm sorry.
I thought we had 18. I thought we done 18.
Well, we just did 17, so. You made me approve the agenda, so I figured we'd go in order.
Yeah,
Articles of impeachment.
yeah. 18 was statements and remarks from commissioners.
So you ready for those?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
My staple was right through the middle of that part. All I seen was statements and remarks. I thought that was citizens.
Well, since I opened the floor, I guess I'll start. A couple things. I did want to remind everybody that EPD is taking comments, for the discharge permit. I think there's things that they can do. There's a whole lot of treatment capacity out there. There are different things. You mentioned they were just aerating at the sewage pond, which really it is a form of treatment, and there's bugs in it, and, you know, there's a lot more than just it running there with, you know, getting aerated. So there's a whole treatment train process that can be done in different places, just like, you know, proper tertiary treatments out of a wastewater plant these days, if it's properly done, is the same water as drinking water. It just ain't got the chlorine in it. So there's a lot of stuff that can be done as far as that's concerned. The other thing with the citizens noting, bringing some written reports or comments from, I'll say others, I was just, not rehashing the Zoom thing, but do we have a mechanism where citizens can submit comment or sit remarks in writing to be read, and, somebody can come to the meeting? Do we have, isn't that a loud process, Mike, or do we need to make some adjustments so if somebody needed to send in a comment?
I was just nodding because actually another of my entities I represent, they rather than have everybody come in on the Zoom meeting, so that they could participate in the chat, the link is only sent to the participants of the meeting. The public watches it on YouTube, but the public can submit comments in writing to be read at the meeting during the public comment section.
Yes.
Or prior to,
Yeah, they submit it prior to.
Okay.
It's like up until 3 o'clock that afternoon or something.
putting that there for food for thought. Like I said, if somebody couldn't come or couldn't make it, bad weather, they could, set up an email type thing or something that could be done as
So in speaking
part
with
of
Ms.
government.
Leanne Jones today, I told her when the agenda is published, at that point, read over the agenda. If you have questions, email them to us. I will read them out with her name attached to it. Or she could call me and I would read it out with the name.
And I think, again, with somebody's name and address, just like if somebody
Yeah.
came and spoke, that information.
Yeah, and she was fine with that.
And I'll leave this last one on, this is probably the one that will definitely not get me reelected, but the conversation about the roads, I know we've got $100-something million worth of roads and we'll never get there. My ask is if possibly maybe a coalition between the finance department, road department, and possibly maybe the chamber, if they could do an investigative thought white paper, if you say, on T-Splosh.
Okay.
I know it's a 1%, but there's exemptions that it doesn't include everything. But if you look at it from a broader picture.
Yes, sir.
We're bringing in, what, $13, $14 million in Splosh? If you had that much money going to road paving, you could possibly take the 4 or 5 million you got in Raider Splosh, capitalize on it, get better prices because you're buying more, and then at the end of the day, if it's structured correctly, you can actually have some of that money pay for the labor, and
You are correct.
you can ease it into, and it's not an increased burden on the millage rate, and then you could take that in the next block, for example, you could possibly take that 4 or 5 million and utilize it, say if you needed to rebuild the rec department, that money would be available because you got $12-13 million, and you just an opportunity to increase road funding because we're never
Elberton
getting there.
just done this.
You're talking about a county-only T-Splosh, not regional.
That's,
Correct.
well, that's where it failed the first time. It was really not.
It's regional.
Yeah, well, regional
The
would have
regional
benefited
failed.
us. Regional was good, because we would've got Clark County money also.
Yep.
Problem was, it was told to the public as, all your funds is basically going to Atlanta. We
Because-
really do want a regional, because that way we actually get a check from Clark County.
But
on that deal.
that ship sailed, so each
Yeah.
county's gonna be on their own.
Yeah, now,
Clark County's got their own, Oak Park County's got their own, other counties,
Elberton just got it.
Everton just got it. You're gonna have to start looking at it in that light. And again, it's, there's exemptions, it's not another tax on fuel. I mean, there's exemptions in there. Where I look at it is, I agree, I understand it's 1%, but if you take and this is why I'm asking for maybe like finance, the road department, chamber of commerce, those that know more than I do on those types of things. If you have the average, if you could show, I guess is what I'm getting at, the average median income, when you minus taxes and all that, you get to some level of discretionary funds. It's not going on your house, it's not going on your gas, TATV is already taking care of vehicle purchases, so you're not adding it there. So there's exemptions. What that disposable income really looks like for the average citizen, and if you did 1% on top of that, you would say, okay, that's probably, $100 a year or something. I don't know what the math would look like, but I don't think it's a grand value that people probably think in their mind when they think 1%. And I mean, I realize there's fixed income people, I mean, I understand that, but if you could get to the point where we could have a small road crew that's paid for through the T-Splosh and doing like crack seal, you know, if they could do crack seal 6 or 7 months out of the year, and that's all they did, you've just preserved the life of that road for another 5, 8 years, and you start getting the Band-Aids on so you can start reaching out. I'm not saying it'll always go away, but it takes that 45-year window that's unattainable and gets it back to something that's at least better.
So we spoke hypothetically of this the other day. What Elberton just passed, if Madison County passed that, and these were just rough numbers, that where I just told you a minute ago, it would take 45 years to ever try to get caught up, and that's not starting back at the beginning again, because then it would be longer. We could probably do all of our roads in this county with that tax alone, or not, that T-Splosh alone, it could probably be done in 15 years. And then you're in the wheelhouse of keeping everything maintained. So you're 100% correct. I mean, if the people of this county want to see real roads really fixed up to a standard that they would accept, the T-Splosh would be the only way that can happen.
I'll do 1%.
Yeah, that's right. All right.
My
Derek,
road will
anything else,
take
buddy?
10%.
No, but like I said, I think a little white you know, I call it a white paper, 1 or 2 page, a little, just
Yeah.
something that, from the finance people that would give us an estimate, because that would have to go into, you know,
Great
people,
idea.
before they would even buy into it, they'd want to know kind of what it would take. That's all I had. Probably
No,
not.
I appreciate it. And by the way, if it wasn't for Derek's question, we would have been done 4 minutes ago. I'm just saying, I would have made 8 o'clock. But no, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
That's an important deal for everybody in this county, and I'm glad he brought it up. Got too much paperwork. Executive session, discuss any real estate acquisition, personal matters, or potential litigation. Do you know of any?
No, sir.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Terry, do I have a second? Second by Derek, all in favor? Yep. Brian, you still there, or you fall asleep, brother? His battery went dead, probably. Thank you, Brian, if you can hear us. I'm sorry. I knew it was gonna be long.
Government at work.
We got a lot going on, guys. I'm very